Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy Ben Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Much love to the entire LDBC and the entire basketball community. If you want more basketball content, tune into Basketball Conversations every Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Time. This is where we discuss basketball-related topics, news, debates, and everything else in the world of basketball. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon to get all the latest notifications when I start dropping videos and live streams. So, the conference semifinals are almost set right now. There's a couple of series that have already been locked and loaded, ready to go, and then there's a couple of game sixes going on the next few days. We got the Rockets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Rockets are up 3 games to 2, and if they win, they'll face against the LA Lakers. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then you got the Nuggets and the Jazz. And the Jazz are up 3-2, and they'll look to try to close out the series tonight against the Denver Nuggets. But there's already started the conference semifinals going on around here. So I'm gonna go right down to it, you guys. So this is a bit of a preview of my opinion on the conference semifinals. So we got some interesting matchups that are going to happen, already. So the Raptors and the Celtics already started their series, and the Boston Celtics took game one, against the defending champion Toronto Raptors. Now, the way I look at that series is simply as this. I think this is going to be a really, very interesting series. I think to me, I think that the Boston Celtics bench is going to be critical here because the Raptors have a decent bench with with Van Fleet and basically with the with Powell on the bench too. But I think that it's going to come down to the production of the bench. I mean, that's what I'm going to think. This is going to be a key to this series. And the thing with the Raptors is that they're very underrated defensively. They have the ability to basically, contain teams down and take away, their key strengths out there. But it's going to be difficult because the Celtic guards are very, very diverse and they can pretty much score in a multitude of ways. I think that with that series in mind, now the Celtics did took game one. And the Raptors didn't have their best offensive performance, only scoring what I think 97 to 92 points. So I think that we're going to see improvements in that in game two on Tuesday. Now, I think with that series being looking at that to be said, I think I'm gonna side with the Raptors to finish the Celtics in six. I think that the benches are going to be critical here, but I think that what Nick Nurse is going to try to do is going to try to pressure Kimball Walker and try to make him be the guy to score the majority of the points. He's going to try to lock in on Jalen Brown and also Jason Tatum, which I think is going to be a big key for Mr. Gordon Hayward to try to provide the key offense in this series. I think that I'm going to side with the Raptors to finish off the Celtics in 6 games, despite they losing game one. I think they're gonna bounce back. They'll make adjustments and win game two. Now, the other series that's going to happen tomorrow is going to be the Miami Heat versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay. Now, before the season began, before all the crazy pandemic stuff happened, I had the Bucks coming out of the Eastern Conference. But this series is going to be very, very. It's going to be a very competitive series. Okay, and here's why: the Bucks haven't played their best basketball yet, but they basically did enough to basically beat the Orlando Magic in 5 games. But they weren't sharp in game one and had to scrape in game two to win. Now, the thing is going to be intriguing about that series is simply as this. Okay, the the Miami Heat are vastly superior on terms of their defense. We know what Jimmy Butler's going to do. But you got guys like Bam Adebayo who could basically provide you some energy. He's very versatile. He can score in a multitude of ways, but also his strength is his defense. And what Jimmy Butler's capable of. You know that what he's going to try to do. Against the matchup you know uh, against Giannis. And you also had you know uh, basically Andre Iguodala, Gordon Dragic, and Duncan Robinson is very, very underrated too. And the thing what scares me about the Bucks is that the Bucks, we know what Giannis is going to give you, but the supporting cast needs to step up. I'm talking about Chris Middleton. I'm talking about um, Chris Middleton. Wes Matthews. Those guys, and even Eric Bledsoe. Those guys need to step up and help out the offense significantly. Because if they don't, it's going to be a very difficult time to score points. What I can envision what Eric Spoelstra is going to try to do, he's going to try to use some zone defenses and try to, make Giannis into a passer. Make him pass the ball. Don't let him drive to the basket. And if he has to pull up from 3 point range or pull up from 17 to get his 30 points, they'll live with that. But they don't. What they don't want Giannis to do is they don't want Giannis to, penetrate through the defense and break their defense down, because then that sets up everything. That sets up his slashes to the basket. That sets up his kick out passes for open 3 point shots. They're gonna try to use some zone defenses, make him give the ball up, make him work to get his points out there. So which means if they're gonna do a lot of zone, if they're gonna do a lot of double teaming, that means the big key for the Milwaukee Bucks is simple as this: yeah, Middleton's got to play better. You know what I mean? Uh, Wes Matthews got to hit his open shots. Dante DiVincenzo's got to hit his open shots. Brook Lopez is going to have to occupy himself in the paint and hit his open shots from mid range and 3 point range. All these things have to be precise for the Bucks if they're going to have a chance to win. I'm going to take the Bucks to win this in 7 games. I think this is going to be a very tough 7 game series. I think that Miami's ability to play defense and take away, the penetration and to try to, minimize Giannis's ability to try to attack the paint is really going to be the key, you know, in that series. Now, when you look at his stats against the Heat, okay, when his stats against the Miami Heat during the regular season, I'm going to pull this up real quick. Um, in his matchups, against the Miami Heat, he's averaged 29.5 points per game. He's grabbed 13 rebounds in game and about 5.5 assists per game. While Jimmy Butler leads them in scoring in their regular season matchups with 19 points per game, and Ben Adebayo has been pretty much the one leading them in rebounding. So Giannis has had his success against the Heat during the regular season, but it's going to be a totally different animal in the playoffs, because I bet you that the Heat's defensive intensity is going to be kicked up another notch. I see this going to a full 7 game series. I think there's going to be some swing games in that series that's going to be really going to determine the outcome of where the series is going. I see this going to a 7 game series, but I'm going to take my chances on the Bucks to win the series in 7 games. Now, keep this in mind, you guys. If the Bucks don't reach the conference finals or the NBA finals, trust me, Giannis will leave. He will leave Milwaukee and he will go elsewhere. Golden State, I don't see that likely. I can see him probably going to the Toronto Raptors with his relationship with the guy's name, the general manager, Masai Ujiri. There you go. Almost forgot about him. But yeah, I see this. I see the Bucks winning the series in 7 games. Okay. Now, when you look at the Western Conference so far, okay, the Dallas Mavericks lost the series against the LA Clippers. You know what I'm saying? You know, the Clippers were able to bounce back after their devastating Game 4 loss, and Paul George finally woke up out of his scoring slump and pretty much became the second co-star that he should be for the team. Now, depending on what happens between the Nuggets and the Jazz, if the Jazz end up facing against the Clippers in the second round, that's going to be a very compelling series. You know what I'm saying? I think that when you look at the teams uh, personality wise, okay, when you look at the teams personality wise, now the Clippers, the Jazz, I should say, took 2 or 3 against the Clippers during the regular season. Now, the thing that is going to be is a bit misleading is that those regular season games were configured to the fact that the Clippers didn't have their complete starting lineup with them. Now, they're going to have some of the key guys back there. I'm talking about the Clippers, okay? But the Jazz ability to play, their defense and keep teams through low scoring matches is really going to be key to try to slow down this octane Clipper attack. Now, what we've seen in that Dallas series is that the Clippers, when they get up by a big lead, they tend to put their foot off the gas pedal and let teams come back. You don't expect that from a team that's multiply talented as the Clippers are, especially the way they can play defense. But remember Game 4? They were up by as many as 20 points, and they allowed the Dallas Mavericks to come back and win the game. Now, thankfully, they were able to come. They were able to win the next two ball games to close out the series. But remember, game game one, they almost let a lead slip away. But game two, they let a big lead slip away as Paul George was still struggling with a scoring slump. Don't forget game three. Even though they basically won, they basically had to come back and beat the Mavericks that time. And then game four, you guys know what happened there. So if the Clippers somehow, some way end up, losing that series against either the Jazz or the Nuggets, it's going to reflect really, really bad. You know what I mean? Because this is a team that is built to win a championship now. When you have two of the best two-way players in the game, and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on your team, the expectation is to win a championship with that roster. And right now, the Clippers were just fortunate to basically to wake up at the right moment to close out that Mavericks team. But if they don't take the Nuggets or the Jazz seriously, they will lose. I have the Clippers winning either against the Jazz or the Nuggets, in 6 games. I think that the Nuggets problem is that other than Jamal Murray, that's been scoring. Jokic has been quiet. Michael Porter Jr. has been relatively quiet. You know what I mean? I think that if they would have faced the Nuggets, I think the Clippers would have gotten them probably in 5 games. Now, if it's against the Jazz, it could be a little bit of a different challenge by the way that the Jazz play defense. Now, if that is to be the Clippers and the Jazz, I see the Clippers winning that in 6 games. I see that to be a very close series between those two teams, but I think I would give the Clippers the edge against either the Jazz or the Nuggets. Now we get into the Lakers, okay? Now I want to personally say before I make my thoughts and my prediction of how I see either series between the Rockets or the Thunder, I will give where credit is due to one LVZ. He predicted that the Lakers were going to either beat the Blazers in 5 games, and guess what? He proved to be right. And I will give his credit. I will give my credits too. Even though I said that the Lakers were going to beat the Blazers in 6 games, I said that in my video. So don't forget about that, LVZ. Now I will give you your credit. You were right, and we were wrong. So you win this one, all right. But keep this in mind: the Lakers better be careful as the playoffs progress. Now, with that being said, about the second round of the Lakers between either the Thunder or the Rockets, if it turns out that the Rockets, end up facing against the Lakers in the second round, I say that this is going to be a short, quick series, probably 5 games. Listen, as much as the Rockets can score offensively, let's be real about something here. They can't play defense. They don't play any defense, and plus, you have no size on your front line. You mean to tell me that you're going to rely on Chris, what's that? What dude's name? Tucker, PJ Tucker, to be the guy that pretty much handle on the front line. That's why losing Clint Capella is gonna end up hurting them more because now you're going against Anthony Davis, you're going against LeBron James, and you're going against JaVale McGee with size. Okay, now we know what they're gonna. You know what James Harden is gonna get his. He's gonna get his points, right? There's no denying about that. He's one of the premier scorers in the NBA. He's gonna get his points, but you're gonna lose. You're obviously gonna have a disadvantage on the rebounding, and on terms of the interior defense. Okay, that's why I think that the Rockets are gonna have a hard time scoring in the paint. Now, Anthony Davis and LeBron James started out slowly against the Blazers, but then basically turned up the switch, fixed up the defensive mistakes, and pretty much cruise control for the Lakers during that period. Because I was very disappointed how the Blazers, guards kept shooting bad shots. Carmelo Anthony was really having a good series. There was one stretch in Game 4 where he basically scored like 12 straight points midway through the third quarter and was basically leading the Blazers back into the game. But then the backcourt just kept taking bad shots after bad shots. They were taking three after three. They weren't looking to attack. And you have to look at Terry Stotts and you think like, bro, why you not diversifying your attack on offense? Why not using your size, using the areas that you have? And he relied too much on the guards to bail them out, and they shot themselves out of the series. Now, the thing that I will say is that barring what happens to Russell Westbrook, that could make things a little bit interesting. But I see the Lakers winning that series in 5 games. I honestly don't think. I think that you know with with that being said, I think that with Russell Westbrook coming back, in a big way and basically, being that co-star that he's been, I think that it will help them, but I think that the lack of size and the X factor of Anthony Davis is going to be critical here. Okay, I will look at that series. I have the Rockets losing the series pretty much in 7 games. All right, he's going to probably lose, in 7 games. Okay, I'm sorry, in 5 games. They're going to probably lose the series in 5 games to the Lakers. The size, the mismatch that they're going to have, it's going to be a walkthrough for the Lakers' interior players. They should be dominating the rebounding factor. They should be doing their job of not just blocking shots, but contesting shots in the paint and basically changing shots to basically start up their fast break. Now, the thing that concerns me about the Lakers is their perimeter defense. You know what I mean? Even though that the duo of CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, flamed out in the last few games, there's something that you should be concerned about is that, you know, if it gets to the point when they get to the conference finals and they end up facing against the Clippers, it's going to be a very interesting scenario about how that backcourt matchup is going to be played out here. But I think that the ability, the size factor, and the Anthony Davis factor is going to really, play itself out. I see the Lakers beating the Rockets in 5 games. Now, if the Thunder come back, win Game 6, and eventually win the series, I see it the same outcome. In fact, I would have the Lakers sweeping the Thunder because I don't, because listen, I think that what the Thunder have been able to do has been miraculous, but I think that they will probably reach a dead end when they face against Anthony Davis and LeBron James. I see that to be a sweep. So I would give the Rockets at least one game. With the Thunder, no chance. No chance. I see this to be a very short series for the Lakers and beat them in 5 games and then eventually get to the Western Conference Finals where they eventually will have to eventually wait for the Clippers in the wings. And that's where we're going to have all sorts of fun, discussing about how that series will turn out, barring if things to go out the way they should. So that's just my thoughts on the whole, the conference semifinals here. But we're really heating things up here right now as we move deeper into the 2020 NBA playoffs. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section.